Okay.
And I don't like stats.
All right, so you already have these numbers plugged into your calculator.
Yes.
So you already figured out how to do that. So now you're going to hit stat, calc, so arrow over to calc, and then hit one variable stats, and then hit enter. And so the median is equal to what when you do that?
17.
You probably have to scroll down.
Oh, 17.
17.
That's a great number.
Okay, don't forget that's also known as Q2.
Right.
All right, the quartiles are your Q1 and your Q3. Q1 is what?
6.
And Q3?
20.5.
21.5.
What are they? Quartile? Can you?
Quartile?
Quartiles?
Wait, I got 20.
I got 21.5.
It should be 21.5.
Did you forget a number?
So you must have a number in there wrong.
Let me see.
How
So
many-
I have to go back
What is that? How many numbers?
It's 25.
and check. Here it is. Let's see.
So remember, Q1 is going to be the bottom, like 25, or would be at 25%. Q3 is at 75%, just for reference.
Oh, wait, that makes sense.
All right, and not that it asks for it, but because we're going to be writing a description with our 5-number summary, what was our min?
Minimum was 1.
Okay.
And what was our max?
35.
That's just like the biggest and smallest number.
Yes. So this is by how many points that the winning team outscored the losing team. So now it says to write a description based on the 5-number summary. So we would be looking for something like
What 5 numbers?
The
five
min,
number summary is
Q1, median,
6,
Q3, and max. So the fewest number of points,
Oh, the numbers we just wrote. That makes sense.
a team won by was 1. The most was 45. And if you look at these numbers, okay, 45 is significantly higher than the next number, which was 36. So we could say that 45 might be an outlier. Okay, remember, outliers don't have to exist, but if we think that they might, we want to, inform the public that that's a possibility.
So, oh yeah, so can you explain outliers just a minute?
Yeah, so outliers are basically stuff that's super, super far away from everything else. So like where you would see a huge gap in the data.
Okay.
So, 29 to 36, that's a pretty big jump. You might be able to say 36 is an outlier, but it's close enough in that, actually it's 36 and 32. So yeah, that's pretty close. But between 36 and 45 is a difference of 9. That's pretty big with the amount of numbers we're looking at. And so it's different for every problem. But the median number of points won, our team won by, was, I cannot write, 17. And then what I usually say for that IQR area, which is Q3 minus Q1, is I usually say the middle 50% of teams won by 6 to 21.5 points. All right. In March 2006, 16 gas stations in Grand Junction, Colorado, posted these prices for a gallon of regular gasoline. Man, I wish. Use your graphing calculator to make a histogram of the data, draw a quick sketch, and then describe the distribution, so on and so forth. So you can either go in and clear the list. You can start typing over top of the list, and when you get to numbers where you run out, because there's not going to be as many of these as there were of the previous one, you can just hit the delete button, and it'll delete them off individually. Or you can, like Josh over there, create a whole new list.
How do you clear the list?
There's a button when you hit stat. There's it says clear list, and then you have to hit second stat, and then it brings up which list you want to clear.
Oh, wow. Okay, done. Okay, let's see if it's actually done. Let's check.
Yep, and make sure you get the decimal points in there. And when you're done, the last number that should show up on your calculator, it should tell you which position you're typing it into. You should have 16 numbers on there.
Oh, it does say what was it. How come I just no?
Just.
Yeah, no.
It's really nice when you're typing in a huge list of numbers because it's really annoying to have to go back and count them.
Yeah, that's what I did for the other one, but I don't know.
Interesting. Draw. Okay.
Okay, so there's 16. You said there were 16?
And I would say, like, when right now, when you're doing them,
17.
Wait, is it 17 or is it just say the last one is 7? The next one to plug in.
the
is
next one to
17?
plug in would be 17.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, okay. Just making sure you weren't freaking out.
It's always a good idea to go back and through the list and check and make sure you typed the numbers in right. I would say, maybe you don't need to stress about it on the homework, on quiz or test. Maybe you should go back and look over it because you're not going to have it to compare with somebody and be like, hey, like Josh realized he had the wrong one because he's saying a number and all the rest of us have something different. On a quiz or a test, you're not going to have that. On the AP exam, you're not going to have that. So it's always good to go back through and just kind of look and make sure things look right.
Yeah, I plugged in too many numbers because I looked back and just like re-plugged in some and then went through.
So, again, when it's like, 20 numbers or less, it's not too bad. There's a problem in your homework that has 50 numbers, so it's a lot. But I only gave you one like this on the homework. I gave you other stuff on the homework. All right. So, we all have our list. So, we're going to end up coming back and doing our 5-number summary in a minute, but for the moment, we're going to do a histogram. So, you're going to hit second y equals, which is going to bring up a stat plot, okay? If you have multiple plots on, you need to turn off all but one.
How do I turn on just one?
You're just going to click it, and it'll have an option to turn it on.
Off, though. I mean, one on.
Yes. If you have stuff in your y equals and it's there, it's going to make your graph look funny because it's going to try to shoot a line through the middle of your
Oh, I
histogram.
do have something in
So I would clear your y equals if you haven't already done that. When we're doing scatter plots, and eventually we get to finding a line of best fit, then you will have a y equals going through your scatter plot. But for histograms, you don't want a line going through them. So you're going to hit the plot. You're going to turn it on. Under type, okay, you should see like 6 different options, maybe 5 different options depending. But 6 different options. You're looking for the one that has the little bars that are touching. Okay, that is your histogram. And then your X list, okay, mine is automatically set on 3. I don't know why. If you just plugged them into 1 and it doesn't say 1, or I know he has them in 2. You would hit second stat, that brings up the list, and then you can pick which one you put it in. So always make sure you know what list you put stuff in. When we get to where we're plugging in multiple things, I will actually, on my page, do like this is an L1. So that way I know what's happening and what's where. So then, once you do that, you're going to hit zoom. I think it's, did we decide it was 8? No. Zoom
Whoa.
stat. What's zoom stat?
9.
9, thanks. Zoom 9, and it should bring up a histogram.
There you go.
I pushed zoom and it went down to like fraction function mass. I pushed zoom.
You were in a box, that's why.
How do I get out of that?
So just hit second quit and then do zoom 9.
Oh, I think I was on the frequency thing.
If you're anywhere else, it assumes it knows what you want, and it's not really what you want.
It's not real.
So the way that I tell you to do it, okay, is to copy down exactly what you see on your screen. Okay? So basically, I don't have it, so it's going to be a little different, but
It won't let me graph it. It's giving me an error.
can you bring it up here?
I don't understand why the histograms aren't like lined up with the tally marks at the x-axis.
They're like
yeah.
one like
They're
smack in the
not.
I
middle.
was looking at
like
that
that.
yesterday, and I pressed window, and
Because
Why
the
are they not
plot
like
you
that?
want is off and the other plots are on.
well, there was like the X
Okay.
and
Why aren't they
X
lined up?
maps.
That makes me sad.
Like
That's
you can
weird because I
shift
turned it on. I
manually.
turned one on and the other 2 were off.
How do you mean? What do you mean?
Then you hit plots on probably, and that turned them all on.
Maybe.
See, I got it all nice and pretty now, but it looks different.
You
Mine
must not
could
have had
be
it in
leaking
stat
over.
plot 1 either. Oh.
Yeah. So
Does everybody else have it?
Yeah.
I
Good.
guess.
All right.
You guess.
It's not the prettiest, but it's okay.
Don't delete anything out of your list, okay? We're gonna come back to the graph in a second, but describe the distribution, shape, center, and spread. Okay, basically we're looking for 5-number summary, but we're also looking for unimodal, bimodal, uniform, symmetric, or skewed. So what is this one? Okay, what else do we know about it?
It's
Unimodal.
right.
Unimodal. Okay, and it's a right skew. Yep.
Oh, I see.
Unimodal and skewed right. Okay, because the tail is on the right.
Wait, what does unimodal mean again?
1 hump.
Oh, like one. Okay.
It's a 1-humped camel.
So true.
spoke my mind.
Or if you're a big Zootopia fan, bimodal or multimodal is a 3-humped camel.
Guess I'm pregnant.
I love that movie so much.
Me too. I think they're making a second one.
I feel like it's not going to be as good. I feel like it's going to
No,
be a
it's
big
not.
disappointment, but it's
Sing
okay.
2 is good though.
I like Sing too. I think they're making another
Still
one.
like the first one better though.
But the second one was good though.
All right, I'm going to do these stuff in order. So min, Q1, median, Q3, max. Okay, so we've took care of shape. The center is going to be at our median. So what's our median value?
Oh,
Median
Sorry, I gotta get to it.
Our median, is that what you asked?
2.275. I don't know how far you want to go out.
That's fine.
Oh, that's
Okay.
as far
Now
as-
remember,
Same.
this is price of gas, so
Oh, yeah, money.
it's money.
Money.
Money, money, money.
Can I have it?
No.
You're so funny, Josh.
All right.
Okay.
Now, let's go ahead and do min and max. What's the min?
2.2.
Max?
Oh, where's it at?
All right, and then Q1 and Q3.
Q1 is 2.25. I wish that was my bank account.
Q3.
2.345.
2 point what? Wait.
3, 4, 5.
Keep coming.
All right, so 50%, okay, of our data, or we could say most stations charge between $2.25 and $2.34.50.
Right.
Okay, that would be kind of how we give our description if it was asking for more of a conclusion or more of an actual write-up. This just says to describe, so I'm just giving little bits and pieces. All right, what unusual feature do you see in your histogram?
None.
Well, do we have to zoom out to see something? Or
Yes, we're going to change the scale.
Oh.
So you're going to hit window.
Oh no, not on the. Wait.
no?
Neither.
Whoa, when I
Oh.
hit that window, it gave me so many options.
All right, so when you hit window, you're going to change the X scale to 0.03.
Wait.
Why such a specific?
SCL.
I basically, what was your X scale before?
0.05.
Okay, so we want to go something smaller. Okay, and because we're dealing with such a small change here, I want to see what happens. So you could drop it to 0.04, but I'm telling you, you're going to need to go to 0.03 to see it.
Okay.
You're basically always just going to be trying to go a little smaller than whatever it was before. So, and you can change it to be whatever scaling you want, and it will shift your data or whatever. But change it to 0.03.
Yeah.
Now what do you see? When you hit graph.
There's
There's.
something like kind of
0.03, you said?
to
There
the,
Yes.
the right.
I see the same exact
I see the same
Did you
exact
press
thing.
zoom?
Did you hit zoom 9 again?
Press
Yeah.
yes.
That's why. You just reset
This is
it.
what I have.
So go back to window.
I just have zoom.
Oh, I did. Oopsie.
So go back to window and
Yeah.
change it.
And then push what?
And then just hit graph. And it will
Hit
redo it.
graph?
You should already.
Oh,
so
there's an issue.
always hit zoom stat after you initially graph. And that's the picture that I want to see.
Zoom stat.
Okay? Zoom stat.
Oh,
After
but
you
zoom-
did the
okay.
initial histogram, that's what I want to see the graph when I ask you to draw me a histogram.
There's
Okay.
A gap.
If it asks about gaps and stuff and you don't see one initially, drop your scale, okay, and see if it changes. Okay, it doesn't need to be dropped to 0.01, but drop it down a little bit and see what happens. Okay, so when you dropped it down to 0.03, what did we see?
Gap.
There's
Okay.
a gap between
Well, and then my
Last two.
Instagram doesn't even look the same.
Can you share with the class?
Oh
Oh yeah, that's what I see.
So now, basically what's happened is you probably have more bars than you had before.
Yeah.
I have a new bar all the way on the left side.
Because what happens is it takes that breakdown and it splits it into more sections. Because now, instead of it being in sections of 5 cents, it's in sections of 3 cents. So it's going to break it down into into more pieces. Okay.
Yeah.
Sometimes it becomes more, sometimes it becomes less. It just depends. Because you can change your scale in a different way as well. You can change it in the positive way.
Do you think it would be a good idea to press trace so that we can see what each increment is?
Your scale tells you what it is.
But where it starts at, I guess, maybe.
You should already know what it starts at. You did our 5-number summary already.
Right, but I mean, I just think it helps to see it on the calculator.
If it helps you, then you can do it. So basically, if you went to look back, or if you are using his trace function, what we would see is that no station charged between $2.40 to $2.44 per gallon.
How'd you get that?
Well, when there's so few numbers, you can look.
Oh no,
Because you knew where your gap was, so you kind of knew what you were looking for. I mean, you
Yeah.
could see the gap was on the right, so I don't
Because
need to
it
start
goes-
looking at the 21s. I was going to go up to like
because
28.
It goes from the 38
Up to
just
45.
45.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you kind of can figure out where it's looking. Or you can do the trace thing like he was talking about if you were just so inclined.
Wait, so why wouldn't you put no station charge between 239? Is there a reason why you went to 40?
It's increments of
Oh, just me.
3 cents from 21.
Oh yeah. Okay.
So 240 would have been the first new one.
My
Oh,
calculator
wait.
says like for like, I don't know if I should share this. I don't know how I would share
Wait,
this.
can I? Never mind.
What?
Never mind.
No, I can zoom it back in.
I'm
I
not
got
sure
it
what
though.
words to use.
It's fine.
Okay. All right. This is actually number 6 in your book. I didn't realize that.
Oh.
It's actually so gross that they're leading us astray. Mike literally get together.
All right. Would you expect distributions of these variables to be uniform, unimodal, or bimodal, symmetric, or skewed? Explain why. Ages of people at a Little League game.
So probably
I think
more
unimodal.
little kids, right?
Little kid, right? I don't know.
Yeah, I think it would be like
But then there's
unimodal,
parents
like
at there too, and there's like old people. Does that like wait?
You might be the first person that's ever figured that out without me saying something.
Wait, really?
Should be more adults at a little league
Oh.
game.
So it's gonna be all like.
Wait, was that really?
You're
You're telling me nobody's
so
ever
is it
figured that
bimodal?
out?
not wait, really? No.
Not
one's
without
like-
me saying something.
Really?
Everyone's like, they're all little kids, so the hump should be at the front.
But it's kind of obvious though, because why would there be adults at? I don't know.
I
That's
feel-
kinda weird.
That's what I would think, Josh, but I'm just telling you that no one ever points that out. I
Yeah.
always have to be like, well, what about
What about the grandparents?
parents and
Yeah.
I'm
grandparents?
like, where have you seen an unsupervised like
Little
little
league
league game?
Because you could assume, okay, at a Little League game, there's a whole bunch of kids that are really young. Then there's probably a dip, like not to say there's not going to be siblings, but there's going to be a dip. And then there's going to be a whole bunch of probably Little League younger parents. Okay, and then you're probably going to have a big dip because there's going to be a handful of grandparents there, but that age is going to be super spread. Okay, so basically when I do these, I don't draw them as a histogram. I usually do something like this. Okay, so this is going to be the little kids. This is the little bit of a dip. Parents. And then probably grandparents out here. So what would we classify this as?
Bimodal.
Because there's more than two. There's like
Wait,
two dips.
what's the dip?
Would be like that in like the gap between like the age of the kids and the age of the parents. But the reason that I would say it's still kind of high, or why I left it kind of high, would be because you could theoretically have some siblings at the game, you know, things like that. So. So what else do we notice about this?
It's
Skewed.
some. No.
Well, is it
It's
skewed because the
definitely
tail's
skewed.
going to the right skew, right?
Yep.
That's what I was gonna
So
say.
what would make it symmetric?
If
It's
it looked the same on
symmetric.
both sides.
Thank you so much, Josh. That's not what I meant. What did you
If
say?
it
Not
was-
you. Josh
If it was
did.
like
And then,
this.
Yeah.
Oh, if it like ended at the same point.
Well, yeah, or if you can basically split it in half and fold it over and it
Oh,
looks
yeah.
the same.
Okay.
Doesn't have to be exact, but similar enough.
Okay. That's definitely not gonna be the same.
Sometimes.
Now, what I'm going to tell you about some of these is sometimes your logic, you probably should tell me why you did this.
trip.
Not just draw lines and be like, this is.
Just be like, you know
where the kids go.
Because-
You know where the-
Because the people in the past that have just said that there would only be kids at a Little League game, so the whole bulk of the data is over here and there's nothing over here.
Oh, and you're like, why'd they do that?
'Cause we're talking
They're
about-
assuming it just means the ages of the kids playing. So
Yeah.
if they had told me that, I could have graded it a little differently versus the ones that finally realized that, oh, there's going to be parents and maybe grandparents at this game, you know. Or maybe you only assumed that it was kids and parents and then you just kind of had it drop off and didn't have the skewed tail on it for grandparents being there. That's also a possibility. So if you
yeah.
explain to me like one little sentence about why you did what you did, if it's not the answer I was looking for, I might be able to see where you were coming
Because
from.
they could technically be right if there's no grandparents there.
Correct.
Like parents is kind of a given, but there should be there. But like the grandparents is like
Yeah.
up
Yeah.
in the air. That makes sense.
First
class to get that.
Why do the sloth toes and hands look the exact same?
That's how sloths are.
Yeah, those sauce are
I don't know. But
All right,
like
number of siblings of people in your class.
I think
They're like
it's,
3. There's only 3.
I think it's like gonna be like kind of like high at the start and
Bro,
then
like, what?
kind of
Wait,
like
what?
dropping off.
What? Wait,
We're on B
I know.
Why would it
Okay,
say-
why did you say
I'm just
that?
confused.
because well, I mean, there are people who don't have any siblings, and then there are people who have like 1 or 2 siblings.
Just
But
like
there are
what
not
order
many
would that
people.
go? Like,
Like
Yeah,
say
like-
5 siblings.
Right.
would you like go from like the 0 to then the higher ones, or would you go higher to then the ones that don't have any siblings? Or would you not do any of that?
I would go with my least number of siblings to my highest number of
Up to
siblings.
highest. Okay.
So something
Okay, so that made sense a little bit. 'Cause I'm glad.
something like that where it's, you know, definitely a higher in this area because this is where you're going to have no siblings, 1 or 2 siblings. Okay, and then you're going to have a few people that have 3 siblings. And then, you know, if you have, like, you know, the Busbys that are on Outdaughtered, they have 6 kids. So they have 5 siblings that's, you know, going to be out here. Or, you know, those families that have, like, you know, 8 or 9 kids and they're out here. Or then you have the family, you know, that's got 20 kids that's, like, way out here. And so those are, like, outliers, okay? That would be an outlier to the situation. But in our given general scenario, we would tend to think a few of siblings, and then it kind of drops off at like the 5, 6-ish range.
Okay, so that's a unimodal.
Okay. That's funny. Okay.
Okay.
So would uniform have to be like all the
Basically level across.
Yeah.
So there's not many of those. Basically.
Correct. Uniform is rare.
So I know this is like a hypothetical sort of thingy, but honestly, I would have thought there would be more people with no siblings.
This is hype. But like a lot of people have siblings.
There could be.
Again, that's why I have to
Is it
explain.
okay if I have mine starting a bit higher?
Yeah, that's fine. I mean, like I said, you would give me a little explanation. You would say,
Right.
you know, it's pretty common to have no, like 1 or 2 siblings, and then having more than that, it starts to drop off, and that would be where my drop off's occurring. Now, based on the graph the way we have it, what would you say about it? Is it symmetric or skewed?
It's literally skewed.
Oh.
Okay, so I would say probably skewed right because, again, we don't know that for sure. We're kind of inferring some information.
By this picture.
If we were in a bigger class, I probably would have asked each person, and then we would have drawn it based on that.
What do you mean? Is this big enough?
Not to get accurate
Gosh, do you have
information.
siblings?
No.
That was really aggressive. I'm sorry.
No, it wasn't aggressive, it's just flat.
I have 3. Flat. What?
Only child club.
I was an only child for 7 years. And they,
Somebody
like,
was
decided
convinced
to
the
have
other
me.
day that I had a brother.
What'd you say? Wait, what?
Miss Havens was convinced I had a brother.
Huh.
It's like, nope, do not.
Do you ever wish you had siblings?
Yes. I
Yeah,
do.
except for
Why?
except for I really did enjoy like being the center of attention, like and getting like
I had
to
a
do
good
things by
run.
myself.
Well, I'm the youngest, so.
I had a
it's
good
fine.
run. I had 7 years without Lily, so like I had a good only
run.
child growing up, and then they had children.
I think it's fine. You still get a run.
I feel like when, like, whatever your situation is, you sometimes wish it was the other just because it
Do you wanna
seems
know
so
what's up?
cool,
Do you
but
wanna know what he's like?
I like.
I
having
loved
siblings.
being an only child. I mean,
okay
the only
with
thing was I
being
wish there had been, like, somebody for me to play with
I wish I
when
had
I was
a
growing up.
sister.
But as I got older, no.
I mean, I'm fine with not having to deal with struggles of siblings, but I do want to have the experience.
Sometimes I wish we were closer in age because now sometimes I just feel like a third parent.
Cause you are.
I mean, Jackson literally thought I was 18 and was wondering why I was still living in the house, and so I was like, Jackson, that's just mean.
He just wants you to get out.
Apparently, he just wants me to move out. I'm like,
The
thanks,
pulse
dude.
rates of college age.
So this is kind of tricky because like college is like a high stress environment. So, like,
Also,
But
you
they
have
don't have
people like
athletes.
doing
so
drugs.
you could have like
But what's
a
the
really
com-
consistent high, but
But-
then you have like
Yeah.
druggies in college who like die of an overdose, so their pulse rate is like
Okay, the
Their
college.
pulse is 0.
Let's be honest. College age. The term college age is a relative term because
Yeah, it
you can
doesn't
be
mean they're in
however
college.
old you want to be and go. to
Also,
college.
college age. You don't
Like,
have to
college
be
age,
in
you
college
can,
to be
like-
What
college
even
age.
is a
Okay,
Right,
maybe we're
and
reading
then
into this a little bit too
on
much.
males on general, do
So,
males
like,
have a
18
higher
is
or
when it's
lower pulse rate on average
We're
compared
trying to get the
I
facts
have a
behind this,
question
alright?
that's like really important for this. So is it like a resting pulse rate?
Oh my god.
Just in general, pulse rates.
I think it's just like.
My heart rate right now is 80.
You're not
You're
a
not
college
college
age
age.
No,
male.
but like, is
You're
that
not-
like, but like, would that
Wait,
be
what?
like,
Wait,
Yes.
What's
I'm in college
describe
age.
the college age males? Because like some like old people finish out college.
Oh my gosh,
think
Nathan.
it's
Can,
gonna be
can we
like
just let her
Okay,
explain
I
it?
meant like right out of high school, like the 4 years of college.
Okay. Considering
That's
that
Can we just let her
Just say whatever
explain
you
it?
want to say.
so I think it's gonna be like a hill, like, you know, like up, down.
I know what a
All
hill means.
around.
Like
All right, so
symmetrical.
normally, if you know a little bit about anatomy, typically super, super athletic, super healthy people have a lower heart rate in general.
I didn't know that.
Okay, couch potatoes usually have higher heart rates.
Little me.
Okay,
No.
so
I was
yeah,
creating
obviously
my-
there's times that you're sleeping, there's times that you're out running or walking the halls of campus. So we're kind of just looking at overall average age. Okay, so I would say this is going to be pretty symmetric.
Okay.
Okay, because you're going to have some that are really, really fit, some that are not, but everyone's kind of is in that middle-ish range.
That's
Okay.
what I was saying. I'm so proud of me.
The bulk of people are going to have a heart rate in general in the 60s to like 90 range.
Kind of what I was.
Some people are going to have something that's lower than that. Some is going to be higher than that.
I'm in between the 60 and 80 range.
Good. You're healthy.
I don't even know what my heart rate is.
Just count it.
Sometimes
Seems
my
like a
heart
lot of
rate
work.
goes
And then
below
do like
60.
math. I
Put
forgot
my
how.
Fitbit
like-
on, check.
Really chill then.
All right.
It's kind of fun.
The number of times each face of a die shows in 100 tosses. Yeah, well, I said it was symmetric.
Yeah, and it's unimodal.
I just didn't write anything, so I wasn't sure.
Get with the program, man.
Get with your wife.
I am gaming.
With your wife?
My life, don't have a wife.
Hallelujah.
I definitely don't have a wife.
Well, you did just tell Josh that he
Number-
wasn't a male.
I meant to say college age, but definitely said male. I'm glad
I
only
am
Josh
most
heard that.
definitely
I mean,
male.
I'm glad only this Josh heard that.
Yeah, I
A
didn't
lot
hear
of
that.
things.
My bad.
All right, number of times each face of a die shows in 100
I'm
tosses.
just gonna draw a flat line.
It's gonna be like
Because you know
Number
it should
of
be like the
each face of a die. So how
We
many?
think about
How
these
many
too much.
faces of a die are
Six?
Just pretend
six
it's the six
faces on a
face.
die? So
So,
I mean, it's an
Do
equal
100
probability,
tosses.
so just
What
like
is?
I said,
Yeah, so I was gonna say, what is the probability of each one?
1/6.
probably like
Yeah.
1/6.
Okay, they're all the same.
so it's
So it's
really gonna
uniform.
be flat.
Oh no,
Ah!
it disappeared.
Like those
Flat
drugs'
line.
heart rates.
This one would be
Wait, why does it go
uniform.
down like that?
speak.
I just was cutting it off.
Oh.
He's like, why you go down like that?
I'm sorry. Why are you so mean to me? I just asked a
Why
question.
you so mean like that?
So is this symmetric?
Yeah, it's probably symmetric.
All right, something to note here, just so that you are aware. If it's skewed right,
That's always fun.
the mean is greater than the median. If it's skewed left, the mean is less than the median. And if it is symmetric, the mean is approximately equal to the median. Make sure you know that.
So I'm writing it in big letters.
You will not get very far without it.
Oh, that's not good.
I don't know if I'll get very far with it. So,
You're so funny though.
was I trying to be funny?
Yeah. When it says approximately, like how close to equal does it need to be?
Like kind of, sort of.